All right. Let's do this. Yo, what's going on? How's everybody doing? All right, cool. Let's get started. We got things to do. Good morning, everybody. Y'all making some, everybody ready to make some money? All right, cool. So we're getting a little bit of gap down in the markets. It looks like there's probably some type of China, U.S. kind of blah thing. But we're getting a gap down in the markets here. Decent sized one, too, on the QQQs. So we'll have to really kind of keep an eyeball on some of these levels here. The old low is at 169.24. So you can even see, even after the bounce the last couple days, we've had, right, a pop right back into that 9 EMA. So even, we're essentially bear flagging on the daily too. So we've got to be careful that the market holds this 200 SMA. Otherwise, it's going to get a little bit ugly. We very well may kind of flush down at the open and tap the old low and ramp right back up. We've seen that before too. So we'll have to kind of be monitoring the situation both ways. In terms of gappers, let me see what we got here. Gappers, DBMT, WMW, WIN, MLCO. So the gappers for today, we've got some decent ones over here. So this Dell Technologies is busting out on earnings here. Got a 200 million share float, and we're busting out the high. So once you have something that busts out like that, right, we'll be looking for either ORB or quick pullback buy at the open. Don't buy in that first candle, because usually anytime you do that, right, these things can come snaking right back down with the market being so dicey. So what you've got to do, it's got to first hold that 91.10, and then we'll start looking. Does it ORB, which is right 3 candle pattern at the open, or that quick pullback buy? This WMW, it should be BMW. All right, so VMW is kind of busting out of this trend line here. You got a 75 million share float. Now, it's already fading pre-market. That's my kind of worry on this one. What happens when they fade pre-market, because I don't use pre-market data when I trade during the day, you'll have like that kind of inherent resistance from the pre-market, so you'll have to be careful. You've got to have this thing start to reverse, and you have to be aware of that kind of pre-market high of 172. The one thing on this one is, like, the last time it had earnings, it gapped up and it really ramped hard. Like it gapped up, if any of you guys remember us trading in the chat room that day. It gapped up that day, and then it pulled back for like the first hour, and then it just started ramping all the way into lunch. And you saw like a good $15, $20 rip right into about lunchtime before it rolled over. So it had like a crazy good range. That's what we want to see, right? We want to see some of that really good range. And then, some of these casino stocks are really getting smoked out this morning. Probably a lot of these things also have, you can see here, you got a nasty drop on WIN here. But if you look at its daily chart, this 161-ish, 150, 161 area is like huge. So the longer it stays down there intraday, the more we're going to have opportunities to short, right? What we need to be doing on this one is, as long as it holds under 161 at the open, if we ORB, so you build an opening range and it breaks down, we're good. Or if it pulls back and you start to settle in towards that 161, that can work too. Either one of those will be good to go. We'll have to watch it for different ones. I didn't put any of the small caps on today. There are some that are really flying around. I know some of you little penny poppers like trading these. And this GBR looks like it could have, some action on it today. But look, this thing gapped up last time and faded all the way back, and then it's kind of back and forth. I hate trading these things sometimes because the spread will get Gnar on them. And then, most of this type of stuff is just chat rooms playing it, right? I mean, you get all these, right? You get Ross the Boss and this guy, and before you know it, like, you're just like knee deep in the fucking muck of life. trading these things. So I tend to stay away from these unless it's just juicy, right? If it's got like just like that, unbelievable hot heat, then, it's totally different. On the other side of things, you are getting a little bit of a run in the crypto hose today. I keep an eye on this Neo. This thing's got really kind of a nice rounding bottom on here. Now that it's broken close over the 9 EMA, this one's could be pretty epic. We actually just entered in our crypto chat room this BCH at I think it was 741. On this trend line break. So we got a nice little pop on this thing so far. I'm hoping to get this thing up into the 770s, 780s. But overall, this thing looks awesome. My favorite out of probably the cryptos is this ETC because it's going to be getting listed on Coinbase soon. And you're starting to see like big supports coming down. Every time it dips, it just ramps right back up. I think this one's going to have a little bit of heat too. And then I'd watch this ZRX. You can't chase this one up because it's already gone from 60 to 90. It's got to come back down. But if you see any kind of pullbacks towards that 80 cents, I think this one's going to have the heat. You can already see it's busting out on a 15-minute chart right now. Today, you're going to have to be a little bit careful because of the news out in the market, right? So when you're watching this thing, I very rarely sit there and watch the QQQs when I day trade. Most of the time when you're in an uptrend, you don't have to sit there and watch the general markets a lot. But when you have like big gap downs, you definitely need to. Probably top of the list to just make things easy when you're trading. We crushed it last week trading this TVIX. We had a lot of hot days trading the big ramps in this thing. You can see the crazy range in this thing. You see how this thing like gapped up and it really followed through almost 20 bucks. We'll keep an eye on this one today. The one thing with these things, like these volatility ETFs, is you got to trade a lot smaller. You may go 100, 200 shares or something like that. Just something really tiny. The other thing you got to do, with these things is you never chase them at the open. They always pop up at the open and then they kind of pull back. They'll usually pull back to the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart and then they start to re-ramp, back up. So you'll have to really be mindful of that because otherwise you just get into that kind of slippery slope of, you don't know where they're gonna stop. Though I will say the one thing is a couple of my biggest losses ever have been in UVXY. I once lost like 30 G's trading this thing back in the day. They move really, really wild, so you got to be just kind of super careful with that. They move like in such a big range that if you're not really running in and trading the right size and it goes against you and you don't get out, you're going to get smoked out. So you got to just be a little bit careful with that. I do have IQ and Huya on watch for shorts. The thing is they're gapping down huge. So like I won't chase them into the hole. I won't chase them in the hole. But if they start to settle in and flag out, we'll definitely keep an eye, a watch on these for potential shorts. The Huya's been harder to borrow. The Huya's been harder to borrow than IQ. IQ's been really easy to borrow lately. So most likely, if I see the setup, I'll take IQ over Huya because you're just not getting the you're not getting the borrows in the Huya. The other one that you can do, because these things kind of all run together anyways. This Billy is always easy to borrow. This one, right? You got kind of raw. You're already, as long as it's hanging under this 200, well, this would be the 50 SMA. It's good to go for potential short. So you can already see it's busting out. If you look at its hourly chart, you're already busting out of that previous low anyways. What's going on, Danny? Hey, Paul. Mr. Mallow, what up, what up? Henrik, what do you got today? What's your fave? If the market does bounce, I do like the ZS. If it bounces, I also like WTW. Actually, this might be, this might even be a little bit of a swing, especially if the market starts to rebound. You could see here on the daily chart, this thing is really flagging out nicely. I'm also watching this SRPT for a potential swing. You know, this thing busted up to 175. You pulled back to 126. So, you know, we've got maybe like $5, $6, $7, $8 risk depending on the entry to kind of get this thing back up into the 150s, 160s. This PVTL too. Now this thing may just fucking bust lower here today. So, you know, it's really going to depend on the market. It's hard to have swings when you're fucking, the market can gap down, you know, 100 points and shit. It makes things a lot more tricky. That's one of the reasons, you know, I have to be, when I swing trade, it's like super, super rare. It's got to be like a hot setup because these little Trump gap downs, they don't work as well for me. They stress me out. Can you imagine, like, you're fucking in this IQ or something and, like, bust down $2-3 at the open? You'll be suicidal. Oh, yeah, you know what? I haven't been trading at IB, Johnny, but that's probably a good idea. I should keep a side account there. I used to keep a side account at IB for years, but I have my own platform, so I never used the damn thing. And keep an eye on this Domo. This was a hot little IPO. You know, we took this thing on a breakout on Friday. We cut really nice, decent ripper on it. Saved the day because I wasn't trading. I wasn't finding anything on Friday. I definitely keep an eye on this one because it's got total good range. The one thing with Domo is the spread on this thing was wild. Like it was, I'd say almost like 50, 60 cents. So you've got to be careful. There's a huge ramp coming in that BCH, isn't there? Let me see here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, we got 769. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we got 1171. Let's get. Let's see here. Yeah, all day said he's driving back from Atlantic City. Woof! See that? You're going ham on these things. Woo! Look at the ramps on these things. You're going to have to peel some off the table. Woo! We may have to add some to the table soon. Oh, shit. Fucking knew it, man. I sold all my stuff before I went to sleep yesterday. Being lazy. Damn. See this ETC? This one's my fave. When it goes, it goes. This is the only one hanging out above its major moving averages. And this back coin I like long term. Woo! That's the thing with the cryptos is when they go, they go. All right, let's go. It's game time, folks. All right, let's do this for America.